We're talking with Meg Levy of Blue Water Sales about a couple of horses that were part of the Blue Water consignment back in 2009 here at Keeneland that just ran 1-2 in the Grade 2 San Vicente at Santa Anita. Drill edging out American Act. Quite a thrilling finish.
Absolutely. It was really thrilling for me and a little bit confusing in all honesty, because as you want to root for your graduates, it's very difficult when they get that close. I had a really soft spot for Drill, of course, because we had him as a yearling, prepped him on the farm, and then of course sold him at Keeneland. I'd been following him since he was already a Grade 1 winner. And honestly, I saw that American Act was entered in the race, but I didn't really think that it was going to end up that way. And then when he was out front, for most of that time, it was, American Act, go, Drill, go. You just don't know exactly what to do. But especially because American Act, we sold for our very first client, our most loyal client, a lady called Cam Casby, who bred him. And it just, your heart goes out to those people that have faith and keep on with their mares. And we had actually bought the mare back in 2010, so we were really, I was really rooting for her as well. So
let's talk about some memories of the two horses. We'll start with Drill. Back when he was being prepared at Blue Water for the Keeneland sale, what stood out about him?
Well, Drill as a horse was just a fabulous individual. He was extremely balanced, very correct. You probably saw he was bought back for 170 as a weanling. We didn't have him at that point, but he was good looking enough as a first-year horse to be bought back for that kind of money. And then when we had him in September, he really got everybody's attention. I mean, he was just so athletic, very correct, really well balanced, nice long neck, just a super walk. The phrase "walk like a cat" was very applicable to him. He was vetted 10 or 11 times, so he had a lot of attention. And in the back ring at right here at Keeneland, I saw Bob Baffert was walking around, kind of really looking at him hard. So I chatted with Bob a while, and I told him the story about how every time we turned Drill out in the evenings, he would just run in his paddock. As soon as you unclipped that shank, he was just, phew, and really a floaty, fabulous mover. So I, of course, had to give Bob that information, and he looked at me like, trying to sell me the horse. But it was really great to see in print that he wrote that he definitely thought, Drill had a lot of energy and a great mover, and he really likes him, obviously, since he's won that.
Is there something akin to athletes in other sports that stand out about a horse in that way, just within athleticism?
Oh, sure. Swagger. They, yeah, I mean, a yearling's going to have a lot of swagger and presence. And, I've heard people say it's like watching young basketball players come onto the court, or, like any other recruiter in a sport. They're balanced, they're well-muscled. They, with the horse, you see a lot about their head and eye and just the way they take things. So with him, he had a great swagger about him.
What about American Act?
American Act was probably one of the very best-looking Quiet Americans I've ever seen. And I guess the owners are lucky that he's a colt, because if he were a filly, the owner would have never sold, a Quiet American filly. But Gail Van Leer picked out American Act, which he was just a really well-balanced, more sprinter-looking Quiet American. Great big hip. The mare's by Boston Harbor, so he had a lot of muscle tone to him, and also a very correct, really nice individual. So, they got really lucky buying him for $45,000. I think he showed what he's made of, and we hope to see him further along the Derby Trail.
Drills by lawyer Ron, Quiet American, the sire of American Act. Does either look more like his sire than the other?
They're probably, I'd say that I saw lawyer Ron a few times at Stonewall, and he definitely, Drill favors lawyer Ron physically, except they're different colors. So, he's definitely he was a stamp of him, but poor lawyer Ron, he sadly hasn't, didn't hang around for long enough for us to see how good this crop was going to be.
And what about American Act and the Quiet American lineage?
He is not typical Quiet American. He looks a lot more quick to hand, more muscle tone, more body, more hip. Most Quiet Americans look very two-turn and have longer heads, and American Act is very typey looking.
Tell us about the operation at Blue Water, preparing horses like this for Keeneland.
Well, we're actually, Blue Water's quite small. We only have 45 stalls, and at the time when Drill was there, the place was completely filled up with Stonewall yearlings, and we, pretty much do a similar prepping situation for all of them. They get turned out in the evening, and they get, just like everybody else, they get exercised in the morning, that sort of thing. They get hand walked quite a bit. And Drill, I mean, my memories are just so clear of him because he stood out. Not many of them, most of them go out into the paddock and they...
You see so many.
And they want to, and they want to eat grass or, hang out. And Drill would just go right down the fence every time, so...
The racehorse mentality early.
Absolutely. A very, very focused individual. So it was fun watching him grow up.
Well, enjoy watching him continue to grow.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be fun. I mean, who am I going to root for? So
good problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, both of them were very handsome horses.